President Biden is sticking to his August 31st deadline for pulling the military out of Afghanistan.
That set off a scramble to evacuate the remaining Americans and Afghan allies still stranded in the country, while the Taliban is blocking citizens from the airport. And as Skylar Henry reports, the U.S. is coming up with backup plans if the Taliban do not cooperate.
President Biden says he's aiming to stick to an August 31st deadline to evacuate U.S. troops from Afghanistan.
Every day we're on the ground is another day we know that ISIS-K is seeking to target the airport and attack both U.S. and allied forces and innocent civilians.
The announcement came shortly after the president held a virtual meeting with G7 allies who are concerned about the deteriorating situation in the region.
They've got to guarantee right the way through August the 31st and beyond, safe passage for those who want to come out.
The Pentagon says evacuations have been picking up speed, but there are still tens of thousands of Americans and Afghan allies to be withdrawn.
We believe that we have that we have the capability, the ability to get that done by the end of the month.
White House officials tell CBS News President Biden has drawn up contingency plans in case the deadline isn't met and is relying on cooperation from the Taliban. The Taliban has already signaled that failure to meet the deadline would be a red line and has barred Afghan citizens from leaving the country.
The completion by August 31st depends upon the Taliban continuing to cooperate and allow access to the airport for those who were transporting out, and no disruptions to our operations.
Some Republican lawmakers who received a classified briefing on the matter Tuesday say the Taliban shouldn't be dictating the timetable.
We should explain that this is what is going to happen, and anybody in our way to stop us from bringing an American out will be in danger.
With the deadline just 1 week away, the U.S. has deployed helicopters and troops in select spots in Kabul to rescue stranded Americans and Afghan allies. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Meantime, nearly 24 students from El Cajon are stuck in Afghanistan tonight, trying to get back to the United States.
Now their school district is pitching in to get them home. News 8's LaMonica Peters has more on how officials are doing that to get them back safely.
What should have been a simple trip to visit family over the summer has turned into an alarming and uncertain situation for these students as they negotiate their way back to the U.S.
They're still in Afghanistan trying to find their way to the airport or on an airplane.
President Biden announced Tuesday that he plans to stick with the August 31st deadline to have all Americans evacuated from Afghanistan. Now 6 families with a combined 23 students from the Cajon Valley Union School District are trying to get back to El Cajon as soon as possible.
Several of our families over summer break independently decided to go home to Afghanistan and see their extended family. A lot of the families are just, their nuclear families are here, but all their grandparents and everybody is still in Afghanistan.
Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs released a statement Tuesday saying, in part, "I continue to support and agree with President Biden's decision to withdraw from Afghanistan. However, I remain incredibly concerned about the ongoing evacuation process in Kabul and the deteriorating humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. It's less clear if the U.S. will also evacuate thousands of Afghans who assisted the U.S. war efforts by next week. In the meantime, Serbin says the El Cajon community and the district are rallying around the families to show support.
We're working really closely with our federal government officials in reaching out to them to make connections, to get the two connected so that the federal government knows who's there and how they can support them to get them back here to the United States.
Serbin says after speaking with a few of the parents, one of their main concerns was making sure that their kids could get back into school. And he says they seem pretty confident that they would return to the U.S.